All right, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back. We are live on the Steve Malzberg Show, 877 Newsmax, 877-639-7629. Very interesting conversation. I hope you found it so with General Flynn. Let's welcome in Bre Payton, staff writer for the Federalist. There she is. And Bre, welcome back. And, I tried to pin the general down on him being a VP. I couldn't even get him to say that he was officially vetted, and I couldn't get him to say whether or not he thinks he'll be VP. So I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I think there's a place for him in the administration. I just don't think it's going to be him as vice president.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that all the talk that we've been hearing doesn't necessarily indicate whether or not he's being seriously considered as a contender or candidate. I think Donald Trump lately has kind of been treating this whole VP race as like, oh, I'm just going to throw spaghetti against the wall and see kind of which noodles stick, right? So I think he's been throwing out names, or names have been tossed out, and he's not confirming or denying them, and just kind of seeing how the public is reacting to it. And then I think based on the public reaction, he's going to kind of decide, oh yeah, this is going to be my guy.
Yeah, well, what about Governor Pence? Last week, I broke the news on this show that I was told by someone connected that Governor Pence would be the choice. Now, today, I see thehill.com has it 95% that it's Pence. I understand that people in Indiana and the Republican Party are looking how to go through the formality of picking a replacement for the governor. So do you believe that it's going to be Pence or not?
I think it definitely looks like it's headed in that direction. For a while, I thought it was looking like Newt Gingrich, but I think, all the talk that we've been hearing over the past week, and the actions of those in Indiana and the Republican Party, just kind of, hey, let's start gearing up and talking about how we're going to replace him if if he ends up being the vice president and he's out of here. I think that definitely strongly indicates that he could be selected as vice president, and I think that. I don't know. Personally, I guess I wasn't too excited about that choice, because I think Mike Pence doesn't always, say, he's not always the best about wording or saying what he thinks, I guess, if that makes sense. So,
but you have your own.
Is he a strong conservative? Sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you have your own person on your own personal wish list. You got to explain, tell the people and then explain it, because I don't know. I got to hear the rationale.
Yes. Sure. So I think the dream ticket for Trump would be a Trump-Mike Rowe mashup. I think that Mike Rowe would be the best vice president for Donald Trump.
Mike Rowe, the guy on CNN, the guy on CNN who takes all the odd jobs.
Yes, that guy, Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs. I think he'd make a perfect vice president, because I think that they're both pretty loud and outgoing TV personalities, and I think that Donald Trump is not the typical candidate, right? Like, he's not a politician, so I think it would be perfect for him to pick someone else who's not a politician as well.
All right,
and I'm a huge fan of Mike Rowe and everything that he has to say about just education and vocation. I think a lot of those ideas are strong conservative ideas that we ought to be talking about and emphasizing in the White House.
All right, he'd have to take the baseball cap off, and and that might be a problem. All right, 877 Newsmax. Let's go to the phones with Bre Payton, and let's go to Linda from Mountain View, Arkansas. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Steve. By the way, Nora was real sweet answering my phone call, Nora.
Now, thank you very much. I'll let her know.
Okay. And Rudy Giuliani, he said that the Black Lives Matter is very racist, because he said white lives matter, Asians' life matter, all lives matter, and that is racist. They are racist. If we were to say only white lives matter, oh my goodness.
Well, Bre, you're familiar with what Rudy said. He told it like it is from his point of view, and he did a lot of good in New York with the stop and frisk, with the broken windows policing. And he got the murder rate down from 2,000 a year to 500, and that's mostly, if not all, 99% minority lives that he saved. Yet he's coming under fierce criticism today.
Yeah, definitely. I think that. I think Black Lives Matter, I think their name doesn't necessarily indicate racism, because I think, just historically speaking, black people in America have it harder than white people, right? Like, that's just kind of a fact. So I think and they get killed a lot more often by police officers at much higher rates, right? Those are just facts. So I think, starting a movement where you're talking about this and emphasizing the importance of a group of people that's been historically marginalized, I think is important and not necessarily racist. So, and I don't think it's really the same at all to say something like white lives matter or black lives matter. I think the context kind of makes those two statements or those two names to be very different.
Well, Linda, I'll go with you that all lives matter, and as far as blacks being shot, more whites are shot by cops every year. If you look at proportionally,
pure numbers.
Yeah, but pure numbers.
Yeah.
So black males are 6% of the population, and they're 40% of the cop killers. And if you want to go to violent crimes and murders and elsewhere, blacks are 13% of the population and an overwhelming percent of the violent crimes in this country. So I mean, it plays all ways.
No, you're completely right. And I think the issues at hand are a lot bigger than just, hey, the police are maybe rougher with these group of people, or maybe they're more suspicious of these group of people, right? Like, I'm not saying that that's the total cause of the problem here. I think it's a very systemic issue, and I think it's a generational problem, and I think it has to do with, poverty and culture and missing fathers in homes, right? Like, I think there's a lot of factors that are contributing to this problem. Yeah, but I think one of the factors is probably over-policing or being a little bit quick to pull over someone who has darker skin.
Well, I don't know about that. This guy in Minnesota was pulled over because the Hispanic cop who radioed it in said he was pulling him over because they fit the description of the BOLA, the be on the lookout. And he told why he thought he fit the description, and the guy had a gun in the car, apparently, reportedly. So we'll have to see where that goes. Hey, Linda, thank you. Let's go to Mary Rose from Melrose Park, Illinois. Hello, Mary Rose.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. Say hello to Bre.
Hi, Bre. I have to disagree as far as the Black Lives Matter. In my opinion, they are 100% racist, and they want to incite our fine police men and women. This is what they do. This is their agenda. And Giuliani was 100% right.
Well, by the way, they're in Chicago now, I believe. They've closed down a highway. I'm not saying Black Lives Matter, probably them, but a bunch of protesters. And why the police constantly allow these protests to stray from wherever, if this was even illegal, a permitted protest, I don't know. But they do. They let them wander and close down highways. And what happened in Dallas was they let them just roam, right up through, and that wasn't planned. And we saw what happened. But anyway, and the general said you got to keep these protests under control, right to protest. But if it goes beyond what you have a permit for, then the police should crack down a little bit. Mary Rose, I thank you. Next, we go to Daytona Beach, Florida, and Pete. Hello, Pete.
Hey, Steve, Bre, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Hi.
Hey, listen, hi, Bre. Hey, I was thinking about this, and all of these shootings and issues that we've had in the U.S. recently have all been done by Muslims or Islamics. And I don't think it's so much.
Wait. You're not talking about the Dallas shooting. I mean, we don't know that he was a Muslim.
I heard it on the news this morning. He's an Islamist.
Well, I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. I know he was influenced by groups like he liked on Facebook and did other studies with the New Black Panthers and others, but I don't know anything about him being an Islamist.
Oh, how about let's find out if he was a Muslim or an Islamist, and then that would all tie in where they would cause derisiveness in the USA, which is what their ultimate goal is.
All right, Pete, I appreciate the call.
Well, I don't know that there's necessarily... So I was just going to say, I don't think that there's necessarily, a perfect narrative for this story or this scenario or these tragedies, right? I think a lot of times, yes, Islamic terrorism is an issue that's happening more and more frequently here in the United States and is a threat to our homeland, certainly. But I think in the case of Dallas, we don't know specifically what his religious affiliations are, and I think there's just a myriad of issues with that one instance in particular that doesn't necessarily fit with any perfect narrative, right? So I think kind of looking at at things as they come instead of trying to fit them in a narrative is a lot
Right.
more
What we
helpful.
do know, Bre, is why he did it, because he told the cops
Right.
why he did it. Yet, and just as the Orlando shooter told the cops why he did it while he was doing it, how rare is that in two successive shootings like that? And Obama still said just yesterday, I don't know what the motivation was with either of those shootings, which is baloney. We got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
You're totally right. Yeah, you're totally right. I've been extremely frustrated at how Obama has handled every single one of these tragedies that we've had this year. I think it's completely ridiculous when he tries to pretend or act like he doesn't know what the motivations of the killers were because it doesn't fit his perfect narrative, right? Like the Orlando shooting, it didn't exactly fit into the narrative or the story that he wanted to tell.
Bre,
So he was
stay
just
where you
trying to
are.
throw it
Stay
out
where you are.
and
We're
ignore it.
coming back with the former governor of New Hampshire, John Sununu. Then Bre and I will take more calls. Stay where you are. All right, we're back with Bre Payton, staff writer for the Federalist, and your calls at 877 Newsmax. Very briefly, Bre, about the VP pick there. You think he's right? You can't have two, non-Washingtonians and political people on the same ticket. Well, you don't, obviously, because you want Dave. You want your CNN guy.
Exactly. Well, I think this election year has just been so odd so far that I think anything is possible, and I think doesn't necessarily have to be someone who has experience.
Okay, let's get to the phones. We have Sam in Rockersville, Virginia. Rockersville sounds like a very happening place. Sam, thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
What can I do for you? Say hello to Bre and Steve. You're on with us. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I want to congratulate you. You're the honest person we got out there in the news world. But what I was asking Breeze was, why don't, the Black Panthers and all of them, and you got Firehand that's promoting killing white people, and why aren't they investigated as a hate group like they did the Ku Klux Klan?
And Bre, let me just add to that. It's very interesting because J. Christian Adams, who's going to be on this show on Wednesday, has written extensively about how this Justice Department under Obama has laughed at the new Black Panther Party as they go around chanting "kill cops," etc. And now it turns out this guy at least followed them. And J. Christian Adams says was an active member of the new Black Panther Party.
Yeah, I think, it would be fair to say that the Obama administration likes to kind of stir up contention or play, or just treat different people unfairly, right? Instead of treating everyone who proposes hate or violence equally and investigating them equally, I think it would be definitely fair to say that there is an agenda that's driving a lot of these types of investigations, right? And it's not just hate groups or not hate groups, but it's other groups too, like the Center for Medical Progress, which is being investigated by the Department of Justice. Meanwhile, Planned Parenthood, the group that very clearly we saw in video footage was dismembering aborted babies in order to harvest organs from them. They're just going to get away with this as a slap of a wrist. So I think definitely the Department of Justice is driven by an agenda. I think that's definitely fair to say.
All right, Sam, I thank you, sir. I want to go out to Bloomington, Indiana. Say hello to Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Steve.
Hey,
Hi,
Teresa, what do you think of Mike Pence's Donald Trump's VP selection if it happens?
Pence and Trump all the way.
All right, you
To
like
the
it.
White House.
You like it. All right, so what
Yes,
can we do for you today?
My question is, why doesn't the media cover the 4 white people that were killed by cops, even a 6-year-old with Down syndrome in a car that was shot with 18 rounds of bullets in Louisiana? Why isn't that being talked about? 4 white people in 1 week and 2 black people. I don't get it.
Well,
and if you read a book called "White Girl Bleed a Lot" and don't make the black kids angry.
Well, that's that's Colin Flaherty, and I've had him on this show, and he does great work. But Bre, I think you and I will. I won't say that, but I'll say it's because one of them sells and one of them doesn't sell. We got 30 seconds. Go ahead, Bre.
Sure. Well, I think. Over the past year, every week, there's just under 2 people who are shot and killed by police officers every week, right? And only a third of those people are white. So 2/3 of the individuals who are getting killed each week by police officers are minorities, right? So, you know, it's unfortunate that that instance got ignored and got overlooked. But I guess when you kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you know, really the issue is, hey, this group that's supposed to be a smaller portion of the population.
Bre, I got to thank you. I want to thank you for being. No, that's okay. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. Up next, John Gizzi, Newsmax chief political columnist, joins me from Cleveland. Plus, give me 5.